Yes, Norm?
Does your front foot go pointing back? I noticed your front foot goes to the middle of the board, but it doesn't go past and back.
Absolutely. Right, Norman, and I have not been very specific on the actual tack because I kind of think you guys are okay with it. But it's very important, what Norm said, is once we get ready for the transition, we're going to turn our front foot back and shift our weight onto it, and that will make for an easier footstep. I don't want to wrap it around, Norm. I want it on the center line, but toe back will make for a cleaner step. So you're absolutely right.
So I always get hung up on the front foot isn't around, then I get hung up on the
Trip. This is a weird cure, Norm, but high step. Go out and do a couple tacks where you high step. I think the reason one foot hits the other a lot is because we're in too hurry to move the next foot, so we end up trying to almost hop step like Howie or kind of jump. And I think if you go out and do a couple marching step tacks, even though that seems ridiculous, your posture will clean up and you'll be a little more foot placement aware. You know, go out on the big board on a light wind day, it's okay. Andy said, I'm going to try this. Do a couple high step taps. When I lift one foot up high in the air, where's my balance? Right, it's all on the other foot, and I think people who trip over their feet going around the front are trying to move 2 feet at once. You end up shifting and kind of jump hopping or not quite getting the feet planted. So go out and high step a couple tacks with your footwork, and then all of a sudden it cleans you up. Looks a little silly for a moment, but it's very effective.
Slow down a little too.
Yeah, because it's. And Norman, you may not have seen this before, but I have a technical advantage over the rest of you guys. You ready for this? Watch feet carefully.
Oh.
So because I can turn my feet backwards, I don't have to hook my foot. Right? When I go to the front, I can leave one open and still get the other one all the way behind it because I'm a freak.
Oh my God.
So that helps. And I can ride in the foot shop on the other side. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't have my coffee because I'm not sure I saw that right. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I have a double jointed hips. Because I do no stretching, no yoga, nothing. And I can sort of out yoga the yoga people. I was made of rubber. Yes, Nina?
If I try the fast tacks in waves, at which point should I try to step around? Like shortly after the wave or shortly before the next wave? Or
Okay, that's a very good question. I have swell and I'm carving up. I want to try to make the transition going uphill.
Okay.
So as the nose is going up the wave, that's when I want to make my reach and step.
Okay.
Even though the board is going slower, if I am going down the swell, carving upwind, and I go to reach and step, right when I get onto the other side, the board hits the bottom of the wave, and it has that stronger chance of impaling.
Oh, okay.
You know, so what happens is the board's going down the wave, and it's getting ready to go up the next one, and you're going around the front. So you get to the other side, and the board goes down the wave, and your front foot just hit the front as you made the transition. Then the board spears, and everything stops but you. So even though you know you're going to come off a plane by going around and going uphill, you can still get to the other side before you come off a plane. You can get to the other side, you can balance, and then when it goes downhill, you're ready to shift your weight and keep the motor on or off if needed.
Okay.
It's a great question. And honestly, you know, the bigger the waves, the scarier the conditions, the more mental we get. We all struggle with tacking, but it's mostly here. You know, except for Wojtek, the rest of us have the fear gene, and so he doesn't really care. But for me, when it gets hairy, I get a little mental. But for me, tacking is my most solid turn. I grew up on the East Coast. We stay in Pennsylvania. I'm a tacker. And I've always sort of preached that to the ABK. Let's get the tacks. You know, all you guys have been here a lot. We learned to tack, and it's your best turn. Brian, you can tack in anything, but driving's another story. And that tack, as soon as I get nervous, as soon as I get scared, as soon as things get hairy on me, I go right back to my tack. That's my comfort turn.
You don't go to the jibe in like high wind bump, like really choppy.
I should, but I don't. I should, but I don't. I feel comfortable tacking. That's my, you know, I can't tell you how many tacks I've done in my life. So that's my comfort. I can jibe too, but I'm saying, you know, when I'm nervous and things are starting to freak me out, then I tack. I can analyze the situation better.
slower.
Now, I'm getting there, Tom. Sorry. Two more things I want to add. You know what would be awesome? It would be great. I'm going to carve up wind. I'm going to try to make the move. The sail is going to fly across all by itself so that when I step back on the other side, I could backwind, save my balance, and finish, and I didn't actually have to move it across. Wouldn't it be cool if the sail would jump over by itself and you didn't actually have to physically move it? Because there are so many times when we carve up into the wind, Brian, and we shift our weight, and we reach and step, we try to get that sail going, but we don't get any lateral motion on the sail. So on the finish, we're always trying to share space with the sail, and usually the sail wins. But if I could get that sail to snap across and go across all by itself, that'd be awesome. So when I step back on the new side, it'd be waiting for me. Do you think that'd be cool? Norm thinks that'd be cool. I think it'd be cool. So let's figure out how to make that happen, because I would love to make this transition and have the sail jump over by itself. That way, when I step back, it's waiting. So let me use the question, as we say in Pennsylvania, nah. I'm leaning out over the water, sailing along, having a great day sailing because every day sailing's a great day. Right on. So, and I let go with the back hand. What's going to happen to me next? What's that mean, Jake?
You're going down.
I'm going down. Wow, you're getting some New York. Nice. I'm going down. I'm falling backwards. Everybody agree with that? Right? You're leaning out over the water, Norman. For some stupid reason, you let go with your back hand, you're going to fall over backwards. Now, how many of you will punch yourself in the nose before you fall over backwards? So you're leaning over, you let, both hands are pulling because you're sheeting in, you're controlling the sail, and you let go with the back hand, and the front hand pops you in the nose when you fall over backwards. Who's going to do that? Nobody. Maybe your very first day on the water, you were a beginner, your coach is out there going, hey, you gotta make sure you sheet in that back arm and get the hang of it. And so coach is doing his thing, right? And you're I was the wrong side. And so you were sailing along and Coach Ned said, let go with the back hand, Andy. And so you let go with the back hand and you punch yourself in the nose with the front hand, and you would never do that again because you learned a long time ago when you stop pulling on your back hand, what do you stop doing with your front hand?
Stop pulling.
Stop pulling. Agreed? Yeah. Like, you guys may think this is a stupid conversation, but honestly, you learned that somewhere. Because otherwise you'd constantly hit yourself in the nose because two hands are pulling and you lost one. So that's something you may have learned day 2, Bob, which is 20 years ago. Now I need you to unlearn that. We're ripping along, we're going scary fast, we drop the front hand, the master wave sights, we unhook, we hang down, keep that back elbow down, take the back foot out, strap, bring it forward, fly, bring the front foot out, strap, step before we roll the weight on the heels, carve up into the wind. We're half an hour before 12, Norman. We're going to shift the weight up to that front foot and turn it in while called. I'm going to release the back hand. I've shifted my weight. I'm going to release the back hand with the front hand pulling. I'm going to snap that back hand off the boom so they're both pulling, and I'm going to let go with the back hand, which is going to make the front arm do what? It's going to attack me. Literally, it's going to attack me because I'm not going to back off. Even though I know from day 2, Bob, to back off, I am not going to back off that front arm pull. And when I release the back hand, the front arm is going to attack me. I'm going to reach and step, let it pass through. You guys can go out and play with this, even on the light wind tack. Go out, get ready, get your weight shifted up to the front foot, snap that clue hand off the boom, that front arm attacks you, we reach and step, and the sail flies across. You guys understand where that, do you understand that? It's really choppy, and at the end, Andy says, step back, look upwind, and balance. Well, you know what? There's a good chance you might lose your balance at the end. When you get to the new side, and you're standing there, you might lose your balance. Agreed? So the last thing we want to look at is figuring out how to save our balance on the finish, maybe even to complete the turn. So let me ask you another silly question. You're out cruising along, having a great day of sailing, because every day of sailing is a great day of sailing, and you had a choice of losing your balance. If you knew you were going to lose your balance, would you prefer to fall upwind to try to save your balance when you were windsurfing, or would you prefer to fall downwind to try to save your balance when you were windsurfing?
Upwind.
Upwind.
Upwind, because maybe with this butt out, head down hang, I might save my balance anyway. Where downwind is a little harder to recover from, agreed? I want to fall upwind. So back to the tack. I carve upwind, I shift my weight up to that front foot with an attitude. I snap that clue hand. The mast attacks my body. I reach and step, and I step to the other side. But I might lose my balance. You guys said I should fall in what direction? Upwind. Upwind is also towards what? Towards the sail. So as you step around, I would rather you fell into the sail and pushed on the clue hand to sheet in to save your balance. Then throw yourself around the outside of that tack and try to grab on and sheet in. Because now the wind's just going to help push me over. So as Tom would say, this is a back-winded finish. All right? We have to trust that we can lean into that sail. Yeah. So we're going to step around. One of the planned crashes, which we have not discussed, is a full tackle. And I've actually requested that you guys step around to the other side on a full plane and tackle the sail. Because I'm building a chance of recovery. If I fall the right direction upwind, I have a darn good chance of finishing. But if I throw myself around and fall on the downwind side because I'm going early to keep the board on the plane, the sail's just going to help knock me over every time. And you see a lot of people do that tack. They're like, well, I can kind of tack. They fly to the other side, their butt hits the water, they pop back up, and they sail the new direction, and they're pretty happy they didn't have to do a full water start from the beginning. Like snapping the sail so it flies across on its own, and then falling into it and pushing on the clue will save my balance. It will complete the turn. The board will turn the rest of the way upwind. You'll be left standing there and pretty darn happy.
Is there any advantage of trying to do your attack with the hip kind of thing?
Yes, yes. Just like the Car 360, it is a hip attack. All right, so what did we learn? We learned we're going to unhook and hang down with our arm bent a little funny, and we might even grab the mast before we get out of the harness. We're going to learn to carve from the front of the board, Brian, which is a totally new experience, moving forward and trying to carve up from the front. We're going to shift our weight with the footwork and snap that sail so it attacks us, and try to break a habit so that when the sail actually attacks us, we're going to let it attack us, and we're going to just let it pass on through. And then if we know we're going to lose our balance, we want to step to the new side and fall into the sail looking upwind versus falling away from the sail. And no matter what, we definitely want to be looking upwind. We need that front shoulder in an upright, strong position and not looking down and back at that sail. We need to turn our head and pull that front shoulder up on the finish. All right, you okay? Questions? Rob?
Okay. When I tack and it's windy, I'm not playing, but if I wait until I go to 12 o'clock or past, I've usually lost it. I have to get on the other side of the sail about 11:30.
That's right.
And then backwind it a little bit, otherwise it becomes unstable, and I end up doing
It is more about the nose sinking, but that's correct. This whole lesson we left at 11 or 11:30 or 12:30 or 1. The short side of 12. You guys were all going before we're upwind. There's no way. There is no way, especially if the board is small, that if you carve it through 12, it'll ever be on top of the water. Mm-hmm. Now I can also tack a board this deep in the water, but I spend a lot of time on sinker boards, on small boards. But tacking a board this deep underwater is really hard work and very tricky, where that same board, if it's on top of the water, it's a totally different sport. If I can keep that board on top of the water, it's stable. It's going to be great. But then I have to get in a position that I can make the move when the board is still on top of the water, and that's learning to turn from the front and coasting. And telling you guys to coast is a very gray area statement. Some of us have that finesse ability and some of us don't. But that ability to hang on the rig and let the board carve and feel it carve and not muscle it so it takes some speed into 12. Once you also learn that clue snap, that snapping for the tack, that will also help with basic backwinding. It'll help with backwind jibes. It'll help with spocks and Vulcans, because it's the same motion you're supposed to learn in the air, is to pop the sail and have it attack you when you rotate around. So that motion that we're playing with, where we snap the clue and reach across, you can start it in 5 miles an hour today or whatever day you get back out again. That actually has a lot more practical application down the road. I would love when the sail does its own work and I don't have to try to move it. But if I can snap it and have it do its own thing, that beats moving it around myself.